Muted.
I'm going to unmute her. You can unmute yourself. This is Gualter Morel. Good morning, Mike Schein. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Gualter.
100 Millionaires podcast. We're hanging out today with Melissa Baker. She's a real estate agent, real estate investor, and a Rhode Island native. Just like, well, Mike, are you from Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Or you just live in Rhode Island?
East side of Providence, straight out of East side.
East side. All right. Because I know you had this time in California, and for some reason, I always think about you as being out there sometimes. So
yeah, surfing the waves in Santa Barbara.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
No, I can't surf at all.
So her sound is way better than
Have you
yours.
tried?
All right. Melissa,
All right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you meet Mike?
Mike and I knew each other back in the high school days. High school, yep. That's going over what, Mike? Is that like, let me see now.
5 years? 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years, yeah. So, many years ago, and a whole great group of friends. We were all just great friends. And then we all went off to college, and then just one big loop around.
Yeah.
And ran into each other, and his wife is a sweetheart. She's terrific, his family, and we reconnected.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
I
where
love
real estate business.
True confession, she likes my wife much better than me, and I'm okay with that. I was like,
you know what? As long as she puts up with you, but she loves your wife. Brenda has that appeal on some people, I guess. That's her charm.
I kept getting like Facebook posts from Melissa, like total positivity and and Buddha and all this stuff, and I'm like, Brenda, you have to meet Melissa because you guys are like on the same path.
Good morning.
Stay right here.
Yeah. So Melissa goes to the meditation thing we go to on Thursday nights, and
oh, nice.
It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lots of yoga, lots of meditation.
How familiar are you with the sound on your computer? Do you know how to play with it at all?
I do. Is it too loud?
Yeah. The microphone is way up. If you could just turn that down a little bit.
Does that sound better?
Just a little bit more.
How's that sound?
Much better. Much better. Excellent. Yeah, it was blasting and distorting your voice, which we know you have a beautiful voice, spiritual and Buddhistic beliefs. So
watch Gualter get thrown into the back of the wall.
Sorry.
I'll be back on my other self.
New every day.
Absolutely. So, Mike, what is one of the reasons that you and Melissa reconnected?
Yeah, well, we're both in the real estate business. As you know, I'm a closing attorney, and then I just wanted to be an investor, and I went to the RIA meeting, and Melissa was there with her husband, Jeff Baker from Reservoir Group, and I don't know, just connected. The universe? Can I say the universe?
You could say it's the universe. You could say you're putting it out there, and you could say that you showed up at the right place where like-minded people were going to be hanging out. And so, I guess you did all of the steps, right, for manifestation.
Yeah, and she's super positive. And, you know, we always talk about surround yourself with positive people and lose the negativity and that kind of stuff. So that's another reason that we all came together, because Melissa's like a big ray of sunshine in any room she walks into.
Aw, thanks, Mike. Should be positive.
What a cheese ball.
I could feel it from here. I thought it was the lamp I have on me, but no, it's actually Melissa Baker. So when you're listening to this, you're probably experiencing it the same way we are. Melissa, how did you get involved in real estate? You and your husband have done quite a bit. So where did it all start? How did you guys, like the very first deal or the first thought?
Well, I started back in my early days. It was about over 30 years ago. And I was on the road in sales, and that's how I actually got the money to start White Lion. And a friend of mine over 30 years ago was going for a sales license and said, oh, you should go for your sales license. So I got my sales license. Didn't do much as a salesperson, but then I met a group of investors. and they were following the foreclosures and buying and fixing and selling and buying, fixing and holding and so forth. And back in those days, there was no computer. So what you did was you got the newspaper, and we would go to the coffee shop every morning. We would track the foreclosures coming soon, and we'd be writing everything down in our journals and our calendars, and you would track them, and then you'd show up. And that's how I learned the foreclosure business. It was hands-on, and I just fell in love with it. And then one of the property managers said, well, why don't you get your broker's license? And from there, I got my broker's license, and I had an artist friend, and we had designed and came up with White Lion Real Estate Inc., which started in Cranston on Reservoir Avenue. And 29, 30 years later, I love the live foreclosures, the auctions, buying as is, where is. And so my heart and soul, I just love the investments. I love helping communities. I love helping neighbors. And when we take a rundown property and you fix it, it just helps the community. So it's a combination. And 30 years later, it's just, it's grown so much. I met Jeff, my husband, about 23 years ago, and he was in banking, and we dabbled a little in real estate, and now he's got the Reservoir Group. He buys, fixes and sells, fixes and holds. We do some flipping. We also have the brokerage end. It's White Lion Group now with HomeSmart Professionals in Warwick. We have a satellite office. My team has a satellite office in North Kingstown. We cover all Rhode Island. Oops, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn this off.
Worst guest.
I was plugging North
We
Kingstown.
cover all Rhode Island and Southern Mass. And we also have my father-in-law, who's the owner of Ned Stevens Inc. for private lending and financing for investors.
Oh, wow.
Private
So it's a
lenders.
one-stop shop, and then we've got Mike for the closings.
We love the full circle. So you heavily got into real estate, the brokerage side. What made you decide not to actually run a brokerage yourself, or are you running it in franchise? So which side of that is it?
Okay, so White Lion Real Estate, I started that, and I was always the sole owner. So 100% me, and woman owned, obviously. So I had the brokerage, but I still was pulled to the investment. So I was focused so much on the investments, the foreclosures, and then the brokerage end, obviously, for the listings. And then I ended up growing the team, and we had a fantastic team, and very heavy into the Spanish community, Providence, Cranston, Central Falls, Pawtucket, East Providence, and then it just expanded out. It just got to the point that being a broker owner, and also Jeff and I have an autistic child, so I was just torn so much because I mean, my team, they were my second family, and they were just amazing, and it really took me a couple of years to make that final decision that I need to close the active brokerage, be a team leader, but not the broker owner. And I talked to many companies, and I decided to go with HomeSmart with Dean DeTonicotte. And a year and a half later, here we are. So we do have the White Lion Group, the team, under the HomeSmart Professional brokerage. So that's where my team is. And then we also specialize with the foreclosures, the rehabs, the investments, the private lending, wholesaling.
You know, we had David from Fox Point Lending on a couple of weeks ago, and I said that he was in Richmond Square. So all these successful careers start at Richmond Square, because I think Melissa just had like a mailbox there, right?
Well, I had a little office there. When I had moved from Cranston on Reservoir Ave, I did go there, and I did have a space. I had a space, I think, there for 4 or 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So I was at Richmond Square for a while, and I loved it. And I guess I had met Brenda back then, but didn't put the two and two together until recently.
Brenda used to work there. Yeah, that's just so funny. It's small. It's typical Rhode Island. I don't know.
It's Rhode Island.
Fall River, Gualter, but Everybody knows
I
everybody.
haven't connected the dots in Fall River yet, but I will find out what that connection is here. So
Awesome.
it's funny that so I mean you started really, it sounds like you started on the investment side. On the sales side, you were doing sales, you get your license, but it's really the investments that you've always drawn back to that. And what I relate to your story is I've done the same thing, right? I always said I never own a brokerage, never get my broker's license, never do anything like that. And then eventually started running a team, and I found the team structure to be amazing. And people say, when are you going to run your brokerage? When are you going to get your own brokerage? And I've always said, I'm not a broker. I'm not a paperwork person. I'm not into the responsibility, the logistics, all of that behind the scenes stuff that a broker does. All I do is attract people and train people, and I just want to go invest. And I feel like, Melissa, that's the same pathway you're on. It's just, what can I do? Because obviously you like the team, and it's great to have everybody around, and the listings are important, and we use them all the time for acquisition and disposition. We don't like to do our own deals, but at the end of the day, if it came down to investing or agency, what pays you, right? What pays you.
Right.
And agency is more of the labor side of it, and it's part of the labor. Might as well get paid a commission off what you're doing. That's fair to say?
Right. And what I do is I will refer the buyers and sellers strictly to my team members, because I feel that they're on my team, and I want them to get the leads that I get, and work with them. And also I know that the clients will be serviced. They have my realtors on my team, plus I'm there to help assist. So they're getting, they're getting covered all around, whether it's their buyers, their sellers, their first-time home buyers, investors, or if they're going for a 203K, we also can help with design. We can help with estimating costs. We can help, and that's no added fee.
That's
There's
funny.
a lot that we bring to the table, for the one-stop shop with our team.
It just dawned on me what you were saying, Gualter. You guys are very similar.
Right.
Like there's in the way that you're handling that, because Gualter's like, I'm not going out on listing appointments. I'm giving it to my team members, and they're handling it, but I'm always there to support them and answer questions. It's
Exactly.
very similar.
Always there for my team, always.
Yeah.
I think it must be just a principle, right? As you start scaling, you realize you can only do one thing, and you can only do one thing really well, and all the other stuff you're going to do is not going to be as high quality. So it's time to bring in people that you trust and give them a place where they can operate safely and have fun and enjoy themselves. But then to stay in there all the time is, again, that's taking away from your one thing. And so you find that having somebody else who can run all of that, a brokerage that can run all of that, is a safer place to put all your team members. And then you pop in with the donuts every so often. You're the CEO that says, hey guys, break time. Who wants to have a little training and a lunch and learn? And it makes it more fun. Or at least that's the way I've always seen businesses. I want to be the guy who jumps in with the donuts, high fives everybody, and then I'm back out there on the golf course. With people like Mike Schein and Melissa Baker getting our level to the next level, right? So,
hey, I got a question. So, because obviously I'm obsessed with the investment part. So, I just want to know, how was that back then, being a woman, doing the foreclosure auctions, that kind of stuff? Was it different because you were a woman? Were you treated differently? Was it easier? Was it harder?
I think it was definitely harder. I think to this day it's harder. You have to deal with a lot of comments.
This is great.
You have to deal with a lot of, when I show up for business. And there's a reason why I'm there. And we have numbers in our head, how high we're going to go. And then, of course, you've got people, screaming and yelling, or they're PO'd because maybe we're the high bidder, or they think, quote unquote, oh, you're bidding us up. No. We are there for a reason. We know our numbers. We know how high we're going to go. Bottom line, this is not a game. This is business. And you've got to be thick-skinned, real thick-skinned. It's tough. It's really tough.
Now, do you go to the
in my opinion.
Do you go to the tax sales too, or you just,
I go to the tax sales with my family.
Yeah.
We have a group, we focus on that, and that's a whole other animal.
yeah, I've heard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. I
So
heard it's
that's-
very entertaining. I've only been to one and I was late, so they were already done. Like at
mhm,
9:10, all the
mhm.
properties were gone.
And you're not going to make any friends,
Yeah.
and they're not there to be your friend. And when they're nice to you, they're nice to you for a reason, not because they have your interest at heart.
So when you were doing the foreclosures, back to that, so you're at auctions at the driveway of the property, for example? Now,
In Rhode Island, foreclosures are live on site at the address.
yeah. So what was like an average, say, in a year, if you went to, I don't know, say you went to 100 auctions in a year, or I don't know how many, but what's the percentage of deals that you would get out of that?
That it's actually low, because you can have a foreclosure scheduled, and I would find you're probably looking over 50% are canceled, postponed.
Right.
If you have someone there, from my best professional opinion and my experience, if someone is there as a retail client, they want to buy it to live there, an investor, in my opinion, is not going to be able to compete because you can't pay the same dollar amount. We're going in to fix and then resell, whereas someone else might be going in to buy and move in.
Okay.
So they can afford to buy more. However, they have to understand, when you're at a live auction in Rhode Island, you have to show up with, whether it's a 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever that particular auction deposit, it's all advertised. You have to show up with the cashier check,
Yeah.
made out usually to yourself or to your company. And then if you're a high bidder, you have to sign a contract on spot. Then you have to sign the check over to the auctioneer or to the attorney's office. And legally, you have 30 days to close if the title's ready. If the title's not, then they'll ask for extensions. But this is not subject to a mortgage, subject to anything. You either close, or in many circumstances, you lose your deposit. Obviously, every sale, every deal is a different transaction. So it's not 100% the same for each deal.
Sure.
As far as like deposits or the time frame, it might be extended. It might get canceled because it was a bad foreclosure. Then you get your deposit back. So it's quite interesting, and you have to be very educated and understand that there's a lot of moving parts to this. And then when you get there, you're also bidding against others. So you've got to be well prepared, and you've got to be focused, and you've got to be listening when that live bidding is happening. And once that auctioneer says once, twice, third, sold, that's it, it's done.
I got a buddy of mine who drives around with a $5,000 certified check in his truck all the time.
Absolutely. We'll have many, because there could be, I mean, they've been canceled for the past, about 2.5, 3 months now because of the COVID, but now they're beginning to come back. And you could have 3, 4, 5 foreclosures in a day. You need to be prepared. So,
Right.
And if you show up and you do not have the required deposit, legally, to the best of my knowledge, you cannot bid. I mean, these are the rules.
Sure. Do you, are you the only one go, if you have like 4 in a day, is that all you going to all of them, or is it like
It used to be. Now we've got a team, so we spread it out. And then of course my daughter comes first. If she needs me,
Sure.
work is second. She's always first.
Yeah, and she's awesome. So when you go, you already have your numbers ready. So address the fact that I've done a little bit of this, gone to the driveways, obviously not experienced like the two of you, but how do you get inside, or how do you know what's going on inside, or do you just don't even care about that? You've got guys who are going to fix it.
For me, I can't speak for everyone, but for us, I would prefer to think of the worst scenario. And then we work the numbers. Does it need a roof? Does it need a heating system? Does it need a new kitchen? permits, contractors, plumbing, heating, electric. However, they don't have the door open. So if it's vacant and it happens to be open, then that's positive. You can look at it before you stop bidding. Sometimes they're occupied. Sometimes you can do research prior to find out, maybe it was listed recently. You can talk to the realtor who had it. Maybe you know someone who knows the owner. You try to gain as much knowledge as possible, but you are buying it as is, where is, subject to nothing at a live foreclosure.
Gotcha.
And also, you are responsible for back taxes, sewer, water, any else if there's violations. So it's not buying a listed REO or a short sale where you can negotiate and you can work, you've got the contract, you're negotiating back and forth. This is it. As is, where is, subject to nothing.
So before you go to that auction, somebody on your team has already checked the taxes, the water, that kind of stuff.
We try our best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you ever, I know you're saying that most of these are flips, but do you ever hold on to any of these properties?
We do. Yep.
Yeah.
We have a rental division and we'll hold on to the rentals. Sometimes we'll have a contract, and Jeff will flip to another wholesaler or to an investor. So each deal is a different deal.
Nice.
Excellent. What is your inventory you're holding right now, and what does it compare to what you've had in the past?
That's a great question. I already
That is a great question. So are you talking about the rental division, or are you talking about the wholesale? What are you talking about?
So actual holds, the things you're keeping, because we've felt our portfolio adjust, and we've made some changes prior to COVID. Now post COVID, we're making some other changes, completely shifted our strategy around. I'm just wondering so for example, we went up to, about 2 years ago, we went up to 42 units, and then we sold all the way down to 12 units.
Wow.
Thought we were at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then in February of this year, we're up to 57 units.
Mm-hmm.
And by March, we had sold down to 49. And now during COVID, post-COVID, okay, Mike, I'll do my best to entertain her while you're gone. During this post-COVID, where we're thinking, oh my God, this is the chance to explode, right? This is our chance to pick up a lot of rental property. So I'm just wondering, what is your portfolio done in the last 2 or 3 years as far as the hold side of it? What does it look like
So
now?
you said within the past when?
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3. So that's actually more of a question for my husband. He oversees all of that, but we've really held a lot, and we're looking to buy probably another 20 to 30 doors.
Buyer. Gualter's always asking in all the Zoom calls, who's a buyer? And everybody's like,
Yeah.
We're both buyers.
we're all buyers.
So I know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months with, all this. I know the COVID and the stimulus checks, and when they stop, and the unemployment, and we're in unprecedented times. I mean, the world's never seen anything like this, and we're being very cautious.
Yeah.
Do you think the market's going to go down? Like I hear both sides. I hear some people who say there's going to we're going to be flush with opportunities. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking. I need another coffee apparently. But we're going to be flush with opportunities, and other people are like, no, you better buy whatever you can buy now, because it's just going to keep going up once we're beyond this. So what's your opinion?
So I think, first of all, cash is king. So whoever's sitting on cash, they can wheel and deal, and I think they're going to get fantastic deals. And I think the deals will be coming. I've seen a few already. I think the ones who are leveraged and very high, I just saw a foreclosure this morning that went, actually 3 properties are going today, to the best of my knowledge. It's the same investor. And, I think it's going to be the people who have the cash, I think, are obviously the strongest, and they're standing the strongest, and they're ready just to swoop in. The ones who really are leveraged very, very high. I think that's a serious concern, especially if they have rentals and the tenants aren't paying. And you can't evict right now. I believe it's held off till July 1st. And who knows how long that's going to happen. I think if they don't have their cash flow, I think they're in serious trouble. I think commercial is going to be something to watch. I think the brick and mortar,
Right.
I think that's definitely something that's people are going to start to unload, or they're going to have to unload. Also dealing with the autism community, you know, living it and so forth, and the special needs. I had some clients and friends and associates, they were thinking, well, if you had like strip malls and they are commercial, wouldn't it be something interesting where if they were bought and then they were turned into residential for ADA compliance, because, you know, the wheelchair can go right through, and it could serve a purpose for the special needs and the ADA. And so there's a lot going on, a lot of talk.
You sent that one to me in East Providence, where the guy's doing that right across from City Hall.
Right.
That was neat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that. I think that's like pot commercial, and then 1 unit or 2 he was trying the ADA. So I actually didn't see it myself. I just saw it online. And then somebody else had sent me that. Another thing too is the rates are so low.
Yeah.
So the buyers are there, they're buying, they are still buying in everything that's going on in this world. It's, what is it, 3% for 30-year and 2.75 for 15 year, I think it is fixed. This is unbelievable.
I've seen 2.5.
No, that's on the residential side, right? So we're not seeing that on the commercial side yet. So the commercial loans are much higher still, even though rates have gone down. Commercial has said we're not doing that right now. They've gone above what they normally go.
Right.
So, and they're frozen right now. I mean, they'll close, but your reserves have to be extremely high. So yes, there is a difference between residential and commercial right now, more so than there ever has been in the past. And typically we like commercial lending. It's just easier for us to close on. There's more opportunity. They're more flexible. But we've entered a market where they're not anymore. And this is great
I'm doing a closing today where it's it's obviously 1 to 4, but this is non-owner occupied, and he's getting 3 1/4.
Wow.
Non-owner occupied.
Yeah.
I can give you that's the same one. Matt Estrella at Bristol County Savings Bank. I'll be happy to introduce you to him.
Wow.
Craziness. I got a lot of investors going there, but I know what you're talking about, Gualter, because the bigger things, what are they doing? They're looking for 30% down.
They're looking for 30% down. They're looking for 18 months in reserves, 12 months in reserves. So bigger, much bigger chunks that they want you holding and bring to the table. And cash out refis it's almost laughable. They're like, well, I mean, we could do it, but you might not want to do it right now. And so on the commercial side, because that's what we do, like to put everything into one big portfolio loan, which you can't do it on residential. So I think that the commercial guys are in trouble. It goes back to what you said a little while ago. We're going to see some opportunities on commercial. I just don't know if we'll see those same opportunities on the residential side. And that's why I ask, where are you going? What do you think the market holds in the future? Say, a year from now or 2 years from now, because we know on the other side, all the quantitative easing they just put into the market, lowering interest rates that drives prices up, and then putting $3 trillion into the marketplace, that must drive real estate prices up because everything else is going up. So so that's the two big factors that we're looking at that are not normal, right? We expected a crash. We saw a crash coming. And that's why I've always got to play the other side of this, right? So we expected a crash to come. I've been buying everything as if the crash was tomorrow. And now I think we're at a point where it's like, I don't think there's a crash coming for another 2 to 5 years. What is your opinion on that? Like when you take those two factors into place?
None of us have a crystal ball. It is just, there's no rhyme or reason. It's you know, between the COVID and the unemployment and, you know, where are we going? It's scary times. It's really scary. I mean, of course we want the best for everyone. And I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I get up every day wondering, okay, what's new? I'm a news junkie. I can't get, I mean, I am always watching and listening to the news. It's like, what's happening? What's happening in the world? What's happening locally? What's happening to the state? What's happening to the communities? You know, I see that it's very strong. The market is still very, very strong.
Right.
I think the commercial's a big concern.
Right.
That's my opinion. Can we stay and hold this? I don't know.
Right.
Well, my opinion is you can make that distinction. That the 1 to 4 family, the residential, the 3 families, all that stuff, I think is going to stay strong. And I just don't see any inventory out there. But when I personally look at some of the commercial buildings that I was thinking 6 months ago about buying, actually made an offer on a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so happy I did not. Because
Yep.
I mean, you know, because with COVID, people are saying, I mean, in my office, people are not, I've got some people in the office, but others that are working perfectly well from home. So
Yeah.
I would be, unless you got a super, super deal on a commercial property, I personally would not be doing that deal. And like I said, 6 months ago, I was actively pursuing 2 different buildings that were good square footage, 4 offices. And now I'm just saying, oh, I'm so glad we didn't get them. You know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where unless you know the tenant space, it's commercial has been something I've always respected. And I've always respected the investors, the agents who do it, and said, you know what, because they're like, oh, you know, we're commercial. I'm like, you know what, you guys, you're right, better than us, whatever. But right now.
Such a funny thing to be a snob about.
All I deal with businesses and $1 million transactions. Well, that's good. Okay, you're right. You're beating me. I got to sell 3 of mine to get to you, but that's cool. But now, who's paying the rent still?
Right?
My tenants.
Right. I come a little from a different standpoint because talking about Richmond Square, I hung around my dad for forever, and so he was always doing commercial stuff. I mean, he did residential at first, but so I've never had that sort of fear of the commercial side. I feel like I understand it. Always understood what, for example, what triple net meant and had it hammered home. So I've never had any fear about it. But again, I was listening to the news and they were talking about out in Silicon Valley, they're telling the workers that you're not coming back to the office for 2 more years till like 2022. And when you come back, there's probably going to be half the desks here. Because if you think about Silicon Valley and how expensive the real estate is, it's like, why have people come in if they can do the same job from their apartment or their house and not commute and not waste that time? So I just, I like you said, you got to know that commercial space really well for you to.
Yeah, and I like what Melissa said about because that is one of the consistencies that commercial has is you could bring a wheelchair right into the building. You can roll right in. Second floor has elevators. Third floor has elevators. It's designed so that anybody can get into the building, and that's something that tenants pay a premium for. Insurance companies support and help, and there's different programs that help and support to pay that premium for first floor or wheelchair access. So that's a potential strategy. There's one, actually, Providence has a mall. It's the oldest mall in America back in 2013.
The arcade.
Yes.
Love the arcade.
Converted.
Yes.
And we're Rhode Islanders.
Talking about the special needs in the wheelchair, I'm wondering if we could do a podcast. My very dear friend, Tina, she's in a wheelchair and she is a huge advocate in Rhode Island. And she's also, she runs RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress. And she knows so much about the ADA and the compliance and the wheelchair. And that's, I think, another talk we could have strictly on ADA, special needs, real estate.
Book it.
Excellent.
Book
That's,
it.
that's
Okay,
definitely
I'll send you her contact.
yeah, that's definitely a niche that I think
She's
a lot
so
of real estate-
positive. God bless her. I mean, she's just amazing. And what she does for, the special needs in the community and who and what she represents. God bless her.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Hey, so we're having this whole discussion, but of course I follow Gualter all the time on Facebook, where he's everywhere. But yesterday you were in a commercial property and you were doing a deal on a commercial property. So what the
This is different commercial.
you're trying to get rid of all of us as competition so you can snap it all up.
Guys, commercial scary, stay away, everybody away while I buy it all up. So I was out in New Bedford, and I was there with Okino, the King of Taunton, and he had found this deal. And what he told me was, he's like, look, you're the commercial guy, you know this bigger stuff. I don't play this game. How do I evaluate this? And afterwards, I took him away from the building, and I walked down the street, and I told him, look, you see that building right there? And it's, typical storefront with apartments above it. I said, those are the ones I want, because those are the ones nobody else knows how to swing right now. They're awkward, they're weird, that bottom floor. And I said, look at that one, for rent, bottom floor. Look at that one, for rent, bottom floor. And you're going to see this in all of these cities. The first floors are going to be available, and the landlord's going to say, shit, like I can't rent this out.
And you're going to put a hair salon in that first floor.
Those are the
right?
ones I like to buy. You get it.
Put a hair salon on the first floor, tenants upstairs. Wow.
That's it.
I like it. I love those mixed use. I love them.
Mixed use is my favorite. It's got the sustainability upstairs, and then you got a little bit of more fixed long-term downstairs that drives traffic and builds cities up. But we were to answer your question, why was that full commercial building interesting? I had 4 tenants that were all mechanics. So that is an industry, they don't make the cars any better, right? They're not making them any better. They're not lasting any longer. In fact, they're just putting more computers and chips and different pieces in. So it's a long-lasting tenant that makes sense to have, unless Tesla has its way, in which case, which, by the way, Mike, I knew this was coming up. Yeah, Tesla stock is probably going to hit 1,000 today. Yeah. Like, when did you buy in a Tesla?
The only issue I have with the mechanics is that we had some in Central Falls at a storage facility, and there was always a concern that they might be dumping oil down the drains.
I just assume they are. I just assume.
There
you go, Mike.
You got your Series 1 and your Series. Wow, look how close.
Tesla's right there.
Series. You get your phase 1 and phase 2 environmental. There's a little bit of advice if you're doing commercial, get your phase 1 and your phase 2.
He wanted too much for it. I'm not into it right now. Well, I'll wait for him to get a little desperate. I'm waiting for somebody not to pay him. But yeah. So going back to Melissa, because I want to wrap this up in time, make sure that everybody can get back to work. One of the biggest things about having somebody like you on here is you're really big in the Rhode Island market. And most of our guests are all over the country, but Rhode Island is right here, right next to Massachusetts. And for us, we're investing in Fall River, New Bedford. This is the South Coast. So Rhode Island is 20 minutes away from us. There's always this interesting vibe. Some of my good friends own Peregrine Group, right? They're some of the biggest landlords in Woonsocket and Central Falls. And right now I'm training somebody in their company. And to me, I look at Rhode Island as this, it's like this own little globe of amazing deals. But we look at everybody in Massachusetts looks at Rhode Island and says, there's something there. Like, why are the prices so cheap? What do you think keeps Rhode Island prices where they're at, where it's extremely affordable to invest in pretty much any city, except for, the farther away from Providence you get, the more expensive it gets, it seems.
Newport.
What is it?
Newport.
Right, Newport.
Westerly, Narragansett.
Westerly, right? Watch Hill.
Watch Hill.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening, Rhode Island is weird in the sense that the further from the main city, the more expensive real estate gets, whereas Boston, the closer to the main city, the more expensive real estate gets.
Right.
Except for there's a couple of cities that are kind of inverse. But so what do you think it is, Melissa, that makes Rhode Island so affordable and attractive to investors? And then is that just us looking at, okay, cheap prices? Are we missing something?
Well, let me just turn this off. Sorry about that.
Yeah. This is the second party foul. Rhode Islanders don't seem to understand the phone ring.
Sorry about that. So I think the income, Rhode Island, Providence versus Boston, Providence versus obviously New York, Connecticut. I mean, the income is not as high as Boston, obviously. So I also think, I mean, we have a fantastic, beautiful state. We have, the city of Providence. I mean, it's amazing, but we're never going to be as big as Boston. We're never going to be offer as much. We only have so much square footage, but we are the middle. We're the hub between Boston and New York. I mean, that's fantastic. We do have Newport. We have Watch Hill. We have Westerly. We have so much in our little state. It's amazing.
Little Compton.
What's that?
Little Compton.
Little Compton, right, Little Compton. And I mean, the investments, when you look at someone coming from Boston, from Massachusetts, looking at Rhode Island, they just, our numbers work for them. Whereas like if we look into Massachusetts, obviously we're going to get more of a return on our investment here versus out in Boston.
Right.
But someone who wants Boston, someone who invests in Boston, someone in the vicinity or the Cape or New Bedford, it's also location, location, location.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And the rents you're going to get here versus Boston versus New Bedford, they're all different. And it could be the exact same square footage, same amount of bedrooms, but completely different. And so how much money are you bringing in?
Right, right. It's barrier to entry. And so where do you see the jobs going in Rhode Island? So right now, Fall River, New Bedford are cities that I think compare pretty closely to cities like Pawtucket, Central Falls, Woonsocket. I look at the 3-family price and I use that as a gauge. And I say the average sales price is around $280 on a 3-family. So these cities are all very similar, $250,000 to $300,000. And so that's kind of how I gauge it. And I look at the rents and they all seem to be in that same ballpark. Obviously, you get into the east side of Boston, Providence, it's a little more expensive. You got the colleges there. So what do you think? What do you think for the future of Rhode Island, and what cities are going to be the great opportunities to be investing in?
In Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Again, like you said, if you're near the colleges, it's apples to oranges. You've got the okay, sorry. I'm on Zoom. Okay.
Melissa, you're doing so.
Nope, I got to take it. Sorry. I'm multitasking. I apologize. I don't think they realize we're live.
Right.
So, I think the multis, first of all, the inventory is so low.
Yeah.
It's still a seller's market. Whether it's a multi, a single, a condo, mixed use, location. Also, do you have the parking? Is it, that is always an added plus. Do you have garage or garages? And then the condition. And do you have 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? But I think, I think everywhere is an opportunity. It all depends on the property, the numbers, who the investor is, what each property is so unique, and every town is so unique. And you have buyers everywhere, and every buyer's different. You might have someone looking in Central Falls and Pawtucket, and then you have somebody else down in Cranston, Warwick. So there's something for everyone. And I think the deals are everywhere. I really believe that.
Cool.
It's interesting because I do have a buddy who will not invest anywhere but Narragansett. So it's like,
yes.
It's not your typical, you don't think of it for cash flow, but you think of that as an appreciation play.
Yeah,
and
that's a niche.
It's a niche.
That's a niche, right.
And because he's in already, he's got property there and it's already grown so much. He's looking at that saying, look, the cash flow is great.
Yeah.
He's not comparing it to my cash flow, right? So my cash flow is obviously more percentage wise. But what he's also looking at is that appreciation. And because that has changed his life so much, that to him now is important. I think we do all look at appreciation eventually. Like the more cash you get, the more you're like, okay, like maybe I will go buy a house in Boston to get some of that appreciation play they got going.
Is he doing single family homes and
Yeah.
that he's renting to URI students, that type of thing, or?
Actually, he rents to a doctor. So it's,
wow.
But to each their own, right? It's very expensive rent, and it's almost like triple net lease if you think about it.
Yeah. But there's also opportunity costs. So if you're taking $1 million and you're investing it in Boston or outside of Boston, it can only buy you something,
One.
Right. Whereas if you took the same amount of money and you came to Rhode Island, you're going to buy a lot more.
Right.
So, but maybe somebody who lives out there in Boston wants to manage hands-on and they live in that vicinity, or maybe they have family, or maybe they already have investments there, or down here, maybe somebody who lives locally, they want to manage, or again, everybody's got different views, different ideas, different plans. And what works for one person isn't going to work for someone else, and vice versa.
Yeah. So I got a question now, because it's got me thinking. One, do you have property management people that you refer people to when you bring people in from Boston? Then two, do you use a property manager on your properties, or are you guys self-managing?
We're self-managing now, but we are interviewing with companies, and Jimmy
Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So had a great meeting with him, and need to follow up with him. I really happy with him.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity for me to shout out to Ryan McGovern, your new team member. So.
Yes, Ryan. Yes. So I also wanted to say, being in the business for so long and with the unique experience as far as, brokerage, broker associate, investor, rehabber, and also mentoring. And I love mentoring and helping my team. And our newest team member is Ryan McGovern.
Yeah.
McGovern, there he is.
Yes, Ryan. I'm so excited. I'm so happy, to be, working with him and mentoring him in the wholesaling and both the brokerage and in the investment wholesaling. And he's got a huge future, and he's so positive. He's amazing.
Yeah,
I was saying, we'll see if he actually listens to the whole podcast.
Hey, we mentioned you somewhere. Right at the end, though.
Yeah.
Go forward.
Fast forward. If I could just give a shout out to Manny Camello on my team. He works amazing with investors and rehabbers. He works the brokerage end, but he works with a lot of investors, finding them deals. And helping rehab and putting them back on the market. And Brad Verdi on my team, he is actually a GC2 rehabbing a team member, and he finds deals for clients.
So let me stop you there. So those guys are great, but they haven't joined our mentorship program.
Yeah.
Whereas Ryan McGovern in it with us every single week, 8 o'clock on Mondays, 10 o'clock on Saturdays, 5 o'clock Monday and Friday.
Yeah, we should tell them to go to the Saturday morning 52 Principles of Wealth. It's a great place for them to be.
I love it. And it's designed for investors and agents. Agent Alchemist is like a training company it's designed to do exactly what you guys are doing. Just train them to go and make more money like Ryan is doing right now. And that's why we're so proud of Ryan. As soon as you mentioned him, he's one of our star students, and he loves the brokerage he's in. He has nothing but the most positive things to say about you and your husband and the team you've built. And then when he comes over, we hear the progress he's making. We're like, man, like Ryan, keep up the good work. You're doing exactly what somebody your age doing it that way. Oh my God. He has a chance to blow us away and just be so successful. And I love seeing it. And you're doing an awesome job with him. And he's so loyal. Like, oh my God. like we always mention, hey man, make sure you're shopping around your brokers, do these pieces. And he's like, I'm staying here. Like, I'm very happy. Like, that's a good.
He's a big fan of you and Jeff, so that's
Absolutely.
awesome. As am I.
And Ryan, and a shout out to, just so you know, so Deb Schusterman is an independent realtor at HomeSmart, and she's on the mentor team, and she's Ryan's on our team, but Deb is actually mentoring him for the brokerage end. I'm mentoring him a little in the broker, but more on the investment wholesaling end. So he's getting really well trained.
And it's funny because I'm sure that you've seen other people come through the program that don't take advantage of all that. And
right.
Ryan is one of those people who, it's not the training company or the training program. What it is the person, and he's motivated and he wants it.
Self-disciplined, and he's awesome.
The other two guys on your team that you mentioned, seriously, if they come to the Saturday morning, I'm asking because I think not only can they get some valuable information from Gualter, but it's always good to have people like that can add to us, because our focus, and this comes from Gualter, I'm not taking credit for it, but it's to make 100 millionaires.
Yeah.
And so we have people in the group. So if we get like a groundswell of people who all want to help other people, I would love to have them just come and take a look and, help give more advice about what they're doing and how they're being successful. That would be.
It's Saturday, what time?
10 a.m.
10 to 11?
Yep, 10 to 11. It's gualtermurillo.com/live, and you can get the Zoom link right from there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'd love to have them. And again, what we found is that everybody wants to help. It's so nice. Like you say, if you say, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't know this stuff already, but if they show up, they're going to meet a lot of people who are motivated, number one, which is always good to increase your network. But at the same time, people, when they see they can add to other people, that's awesome.
We all have something to bring to the table. Nobody knows it all, and I think helping each other and guiding and supporting and just brainstorming
exactly.
is just amazing. You just build together, and you learn something new every day.
That's right. Absolutely. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
That's what makes this journey fun and entertaining and enjoyable. So Melissa, what is the easiest way for somebody to get in touch with you if they wanted to learn more about your journey, work with you to buy property in Rhode Island, or just had some questions about real estate investing out in Rhode Island? What's the easiest way to get in touch with you and your
Sure.
team?
The fastest way to reach me is to call or text me. My cell is 401-588-2400. They can go to our website if they'd like, www.whitelionrealtygroup.com. And my email is whitelion, LION, realtygroup@gmail.com. And I'm here to help assist, guide, just brainstorm, whatever you need.
What's the deal with the White Lion?
Oh, you know how I got White Lion?
Yeah.
So I used to be a sales rep before I started White Lion for an Italian manufacturer of eyeglass frames. So years ago, like 30 years ago, something like that. So I used to go to optometrist's office, and we used to have the magazines, and they used to have the plates. You could buy these plates like advertised way back when. And they're these White Lion cubs. And I said to a friend of mine, she was an artist, oh my God, they're so cute. And then when I started getting into real estate, and one thing led to another, and I love animals, love animals. And I just love these plates. I actually bought a couple. I still have some. And so that's how one thing led to another, and White Lion came.
Awesome.
To me.
Awesome.
That is wild. Isn't it funny that now it means so much more, but it was just a simple thought and interaction that finally created this big name for you guys and what you've built and expanded on. It's wild.
You can actually rely on
Thank you so much.
You can rely on me to always ask about animals, because Peregrine Group, we had him in there, and I'm like, where'd that
What's
come
a peregrine? Yeah.
Where did that come? So anytime we have the animals, I'm going to ask.
I love it. And it's the names, right? It's like, okay, what's the story with the name, and how'd you get to that? So.
And now I do a lot of, I work with Ankle Paws, volunteering with the rescues and the dogs with Paul Vanas, and, just one thing leads to another. So it's all good. It's all good.
That's awesome.
I love that. Mike Schein, it did make Tesla during our episode, did make it to 1,000. So
It did. Congratulations, guys.
so this is, well,
This is,
more congratulations to Mike than to me. I only bought one share.
I'm
Mike
just,
has
a
a few
big,
more than me
I'm
right
just
now.
a big believer in the company. Just a big believer in the company.
Yep. And I bought at 800. Mike bought way lower than I did. And I think at the end of the day, it's true. Some people do get lucky, and that's what I'll leave this.
Yeah, my dad bought at 60. So okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
So, Dad, company at the right time,
Congratulations, Dad.
Yeah, right.
and he deserves it. Your dad's obviously a really smart guy.
Yeah, he is.
So, Melissa, thank you so much for jumping on with us, for sharing all your value, for giving us some insights into Rhode Island. It's cool every so often to get some local guys on here, local guys and gals who can talk about the Rhode Island market, because we're so focused in Massachusetts or in Florida or Texas. And to be able to talk about Rhode Island, I think it's very relevant. And I think that it'd be valuable to bring all of these investors from all over the country and bring them into Rhode Island to invest here, bring some of that money and flood it in and just up our entire economy locally. And I know that when Rhode Island does well, Fall River does well, because we're right across the bridge. We just drive right over and we pop into Providence. And so anyway, thank you so much, Melissa, for jumping on.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it, and look forward to many more.
Yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah.
sweet. We gotta do
Mike
that one.
Schein, this is your chance. Give us your little tagline.
Massive income from passive income. Woo!
That's it. Hey, when you have a choice, always work with the best. Cheers to your success. Thank you again, Melissa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Namaste.
Namaste. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah,
You
you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Mike Schein.
Yeah, we're still